Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of basketball with our friend Tom Hart, ESPN, who's on the call tonight with Dane Bradshaw.
You think Tom Hart cleans his own gutters?
I don't know. Let's ask him. Tom, do you clean your own gutters?
That is a capital N, capital O.
No, he does not.
No chance. Listen, I'm like you. If I'm asking these same really, quite frank, ignorant questions, but I'm in this with you. Like, I don't even know how to get on my roof. So that's the first sign that I shouldn't be on my roof.
Yeah, so, I have to lead him down the path, Tom.
He wants me to get insured.
Answer some of his questions and make him realize that, hey, my question's so bad, I just need to move on to, it's easier to go hire somebody and make money doing something else than do it myself. Yeah. He's just going to hurt himself if we let him do this.
But we shouldn't need to use the Socratic method to convince him not to put himself in danger. That should just be, human nature.
He's very stubborn.
Tom, the more people tell me I can't do something, the more likely I am to actually try and attempt it. So he knows me all too well.
You know what? I bet you can't clean your chimney either.
We'll give it a whirl. Well, Tom, we played that clip during our opening drive, brought to you by First Financial Mortgage. That call back in 2018. I know you've had some good calls, not just Arkansas sports, but SEC football, baseball, basketball, but that's the one that always stays with me. Nashville, Daniel Gafford on a breakaway, who, by the way, leads the NBA right now in field goal percentage. What do you remember about that fast break and one of the best dunkers in Arkansas history?
Are we sure that was Nashville? Could that have been St. Louis?
It might have. Okay, now you're correct. Now, yeah, I know it was an SEC tournament. I forgot there was a blip. That wasn't. There was.
Do their homework.
Well, I looked at the highlight and I'm like, they're always in Nashville, and that's the one that wasn't in Nashville. But your point's well made.
Or Tampa.
And the lower level of the arena looks the same. It's both like the blue and the yellow that the Blues have and the Preds have. It's very similar. I remember that was. It's kind of a negative memory relative to where we are with SEC basketball, that tournament itself really needed some life. Like it was, I don't remember what happened at the very end, but I remember what it was like in the beginning of the week. Missouri had Michael Porter Jr. Missouri had a first chance to host really the tournament, and it did not go well. Porter got hurt. There was no excitement around the Missouri program, and the people of St. Louis, who are normally huge sports fans, right, and very civic-minded and proud, really didn't come out and support the tournament. So that's the first thing I thought of. Like, man, we need some life in this building and some juice in these broadcasts. And Daniel Gafford that dude was so much fun to watch and still is. Like he jumped absolutely out of the building. You know what? He could clean your roof without the ladder.
Absolutely.
That he could. Now, go ahead.
Last night, what the hell happened around this league? We thought we had it all figured out after one game. Tennessee's really good. Auburn needs to play 40 minutes. Kentucky's going to roll over Georgia. And I don't think we have anything figured out after watching last night's slate. Who knows what tonight holds, Tom?
Yeah, last night was really interesting. Georgia is as talented as they've ever been. Anthony Edwards is the best player that came through there in recent history. But they have a couple of guys. They got another guy who could be like Anthony Edwards in terms of the draft. Maybe not number one overall, but there are so many top 10 picks in this league. Everybody's got one. Texas has Trey Johnson. He may go number one. That was a big reason they were able to hang with Auburn. They got production from other pieces, but Trey Johnson is this player's kind of comp recently would be to Brandon Miller. Like when the ball is in his hands, other guys end up wide open. My takeaway from last night, guys, is that Mississippi State, to win on the road in this league is going to be very hard because the talent gap is as small as it's ever been between, say, 1 through 14 or 15. And I think Mississippi State is a team that's flown under the radar all season, and they showed it again by winning on the road at Vandy.
Yeah. What do you expect tonight? Ole Miss is the team that doesn't turn the ball over a lot, doesn't give you a lot of opportunities by being careless. And Arkansas, I'm sure, is wanting to prove some things from a rebounding standpoint where they got exposed against Tennessee. What will we see tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that, this is a really good matchup for Arkansas given its lack of depth. Ole Miss is not a team that's going to push the tempo. They are going to make you work really hard on the offensive end. And because they don't turn the ball over, then they're cool with shrinking the possessions because they're gonna try and get the most out of theirs. I think when I look at this Arkansas team so far, yeah, there's some good wins, but it will be a minute before all of these guys, especially I say new guys, they're just newcomers. I mean, Boogie Flynn has been sensational from a distribution standpoint, but I don't think this team, for a variety of reasons, injuries at the forefront, has really hit its stride in what its identity is offensively. Cal's never going to be a guy that plays 12 dudes like Nate Oates or Dennis Gates would, but it does sometimes take his team's time to find the rhythm and expectation, not just from him, but from their teammates, because so many guys are playing together for the first time.
Tom, who are you excited to watch tonight? I know there's a couple players you could select, but who do you want to mostly hone in on?
I want to see Boogie Flynn. I mean, I haven't seen him in person, and his assist to turnover ratio over the last 7 games is through the roof. It's better than 7-1. And I want to see if there can be some consistency in his game. He doesn't have to shoot 58% from the floor, but we got to get closer to 50. With as amount of time as the ball stays in his hands. And in fact, I was just reminded, like Cal has had elite point guards, at all shapes and sizes, from Tyler Ulis to Derrick Rose. And I was around his Memphis team when Rose was there, and it was about this time of the year where Rose was struggling, kind of finding his shot and getting the ball to go in the hole. So one day after practice, Calipari pulls him aside and he says, "Hey, where are the 3 places you like to score from?" And it sounds really simple. And Derrick Rose said, "Well, I like to get to the rim with my right hand. I like a 15-foot pull-up jumper, and I like a 3-pointer just off of center." And Cal said, "That's great. Don't shoot anywhere else tonight. Just focus on getting to those 3 places." And, Rose's numbers as an early freshman were not good. They weren't MVP worthy. He really blew up about this time of year, and once they got into conference play, he took off.
Yeah, you think about Cal was at Derrick Rose Appreciation Night earlier in Chicago this week. You referenced Tyler Ulis, who's on staff. So, Tom, don't you think Cal does a good job of just keeping up with his former players and making sure not just in their playing days, but that they find coaching jobs too?
Oh, I don't think there's anybody better, and he revels in it. I mean, like he was, I'm sure, I haven't talked to him about it, I'm sure he was thrilled to be in Chicago and to be around that level of excitement. For a guy like Derrick Rose, who, if he had 2 good knees, would have, well, it sounds sacrilegious to say he would have rivaled Jordan, but he could have if he had stayed healthy, especially being with that franchise. And that's, by the way, Cal's relationships with his former players is what kind of makes the whole operation tick, because everything that he does and has done is focused around the players, being a player-first program. People don't really think of it this way, but Nick Saban was the same way when he was at Alabama. It was about what can we do to get the most value out of you so you can get the most value out of that next level. And, the secret sauce is Cal showing up not just on draft night, but on the, retirement ceremony night, on the, at the NBA Finals, going to he went to the Cubs World Series game when LeBron was there, the Cubs in Cleveland. He is where he needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Hart with us, ESPN, on the call for tonight's Arkansas Ole Miss game. You've done this a long time. Is it still weird to you saying Arkansas head coach John Calipari? Has that really settled with you yet?
No, it's definitely weird. In fact, I was making plans for my travel, and I had, for some reason, Kentucky stuck in my head. I was like, "Oh yeah, I got Kentucky, Ole Miss, Kentucky." No, that's not. He doesn't coach there anymore. He's at that other place, So he's wearing a totally different color right now. But listen. I think it was not to get into revisionist history. It was the perfect move for him, for the Arkansas program, for the Kentucky program, and to be quite frank, it was a great move for this league. Kentucky got this revitalization under Mark Pope, and the best coach, one of the best coaches in college basketball, and the winningest coach in college basketball, who will probably pass Dean Smith in all-time wins this year, gets to stay within the league, which a league, as you know, is absolutely loaded with elite coaches.
So is that the reason this league is considered by far and away the best college basketball league? Is it the coaches? What is the straw making the stirring the drink this year that's really ramped up the SEC's national profile?
Well, I hate to be crass, but you just follow the money. I mean, there's more money in this league than any other league not named the Big Ten. And so when the call came out from the tower in Birmingham and said, get better at men's basketball, it's embarrassing to only have 3 teams in the NCAA tournament, which is what happened to this league a couple of times. Universities and athletic departments started to invest a little bit more. I think that started with the coaches because that drove the expectations. And I think it followed, the facilities have always been great, but also to be at the forefront of NIL. I mean, there are fewer recruiting questions about facilities these days and more about the bank account. And there are alums in this league that really want to see their program do well. And now they can help directly above board and know exactly, where their money is going. And so that's why I think you see these further investments. No different than, Michigan finding a rich alum to find a great quarterback. But and that talent, we're putting together, a list for tonight. I don't know this for a fact because I'd have to go back and do some historical research, but the first round talent in this league, even if it's not as good as it's ever been, it's more evenly distributed than it's ever been. And I think that parity is good for the game.
So all of that said, and not necessarily this season, but say a 3-4 year window for John Calipari, what do you think the ceiling is for him under his reign at Arkansas? It's not going to last forever. So what's the ceiling for him in, say, 5 years or less?
Well, at least one Final Four. I mean, I think that's the expectation, and I think that's fair. I think that's what you're paying for, a guy who can get you there, who's been to 6 Final Fours. And I do feel like the NCAA tournament, it is a crapshoot. It depends on draws. It depends on game times and all these wacky things. And being a single elimination tournament, any dream can die immediately. But, yeah, I think right off the bat it's, do what you did in the early years at Kentucky. And from a recruiting standpoint, right out the gate, I know they came out hot, but it's going to be about bringing people into this program that you've scouted well enough that can play at this level. And I think that will, by the way, that's kind of big picture answer here. That's where we'll see the separation in coaching staffs that can identify that talent. There are other Dalton Connects out there. It's a matter of finding the right guy and winning the bidding war to get him in your uniform.
Tom Hart on the call tonight with ESPN2 with Dane Bradshaw. Tom, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
All right, fellas. Thanks for having me. Stay off the roof.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.